everybody. Today we have Cameron once again. If you're in the Near ecosystem, you probably know him. He's always running around and a bunch of events. This is actually the second time we're interviewing him. Last time Elena interviewed him. So if you haven't watched that video, make sure you go ahead and watch that. But today we're going to follow up from that last conversation. Cameron, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be in Denver again. Super excited for this week. A lot of good announcements coming out in the Near ecosystem. Super excited to dive into it.
Nice. And we have Near Day, so that's very exciting too.
Oh yeah. I'm supposed to not talk about the exciting things happening at Near Day. Supposed to wait till Near Day, so some of the good alpha will have to wait.
No alpha. By the time this gets released, Near Day is probably gone.
Absolutely. And hopefully everyone knows about, the blockchain operating system, what's going on in the AI space, and everything else that we have.
Make sure you watch that recording, guys. Cool. So let's talk about since we last talked. So you're the CEO of Banyan Collective. I actually have gotten to know you from a personal standpoint. We do events in San Francisco, which I think is the best community, unbiased, of course.
Unbiased, yeah.
Is the best Near community in San Francisco. But since last conversation, Banyan has grown quite a lot. Can you tell me about, since you last talked, about the growth that Banyan has experienced?
Yeah, so I think we talked last in November. Since then, we have focused a lot more on developer governance. So trying to bridge the gap between a lot of the founders in different verticals and the people making decisions around standards and protocol upgrades. Obviously, we've been running many more hackathons and meetups, which has been great to build that more grassroots community, and putting together some pretty big proposals, specifically to unlock a lot of new projects to build on Near. Specifically, right now it's not formalized, but the move ecosystems, something to do with fully homomorphic encryption, and some other super exciting stuff. Again, nothing formalized, but we are actively working towards this sort of next stage of community growth and projects built on Near.
Yeah, you mentioned you're focusing a lot on developers. My understanding is that Banyan's running a lot of developer groups, helping developers get a lot of help. But there's also been a lot of success in hackathons. There's been a lot of success in a lot of these events. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, so shout out to the Here Wallet team. They're just downstairs. I think they were just interviewing a bit ago. They actually came out of one of the hackathons in Miami, met their first investor at the hackathon in Miami, and then came to future hackathons to implement new features. So I really like hackathons as a place where people can hack on their existing projects, but different features. And that way they get to meet the greater community. And, I think that's the real value of Supermoon as well, is, bringing these founders together from all these different places to see how they can collaborate. Because I was just downstairs with the Orderly founder and Here Wallet and whatnot, and they're talking about how to actually integrate their products. Well, before they'd have to go pretty much get a direct introduction via Telegram. And, that I'm the bottleneck there. So how do I take myself out of that picture and have it be much more organic? So that's really what I see the value of hackathons. The other thing is that the value isn't always recognized the day after the hackathon. Sometimes these hackathons, the relationships there flourish 6 months down the line.
Yeah.
So I believe the Near Korean hub, the leaders of that hub that are all in Korea, met at our hackathon in Austin. And so that relationship didn't really pan out until months later, and now they're running the entire Near hub in Korea. So yeah, I think that we've had some success. I'm super excited to dive more into the developer governance stuff, because we really need to kind of change the way that grants are done and how public goods get funded, because historically Near Foundation has given away a lot of money in grants, but we need a better way to ensure their success in actually becoming open source, being a resource for a bunch of other developers to leverage. So yeah, I'm excited about the developer governance a lot.
And is there a plan, and what can you talk about the developer plan? Are you allowed to talk about it? Because I'm really curious to know about what's currently in place and what's going to be taking place later on, and how can we actually give this information to developers so they can get these grants, because sometimes developers just don't know what they need to do.
Yeah, so we help people navigate that process. And we understand it can be somewhat complex at times. The way that we structure it is we run these vertical specific, we call community groups or builder groups, where builders, and we define builders as founders, developers, and technical product managers, work together to solve fill the missing gaps of a certain vertical. So it could be like all the wallets getting together to create a standard around social recovery, or we just went through this like giant transition where a very popular wallet on Near called My Near Wallet, the team that was managing it previously, it kind of went defunct. And so where do all these users go? Where are all these important libraries? Who maintains them if they're being used for all the example apps, for all the example apps or just testnet wallets? Mm-hmm. So we actually identified, went through this whole process to identify new wallet managers to take over those repos and to constantly maintain it. So anytime that there is a new standard passed, there's a dedicated team to implement it and to scale the wallet ecosystem. So super bullish on the developer governance, having to be very vertical specific. So we run a wallet builder group, an NFT builder group, a DAO builder group. Proximity Labs manages the DeFi builder group. There's a ZK working group that is started. And actually right now there is a call for proposals for people to re-implement this snarky.js library that is historically on Ethereum, essentially recreate it in Rust on Near. So my job is to kind of find the ZK builders and kind of walk them through what that would look like. And all this sort of fits under the developer governance DAO. And so this DAO, which is really cool, is all managed on Near.Social. And Near.Social is a completely on-chain social network where people can just interact. It's very like niche to the Near community right now. But the cool thing is like even the front ends are hosted on chain. And what people do is they build these widgets that are completely composable for all other social media apps. So let's say if you want to create like a decentralized LinkedIn or decentralized Tinder, you're going to need a widget that does like swiping for people, or a news feed, or a profile picture management. And all of these widgets will be completely composable for other social apps to just plug them in. And so with the developer governance DAO, all these what it does is it funds public goods, and all these widgets are public goods because it's all open source. And so this is where like I think a lot of the innovation is going to be, and you'll learn more at Near Day. But all of this is going to be kind of wrapped up into this one beautiful product and like clear call to action for new members to join the ecosystem called Near Discovery. And so I'll save the details of that, but in short, it's like the manifestation of honestly the last 4 years of development coming into one super succinct product.
Yeah, I know you say you weren't going to give any alpha, but I felt like this was a lot of great alpha.
it's all public information, which is kind of hard to navigate at times because there's just like so much stuff, and it's very sometimes technical. So the attrition rate's very high for people to like say, hey, I'm gonna log in with my Face ID straight up. Like you're going to be able to create public-private key pair just by scanning your face on a mobile app, and that in a second you'll be able to claim a human readable name like Cameron.near, and there's your ticket in the Web3.
Yeah,
like your private keys encrypted and stored in your iPhone storage. So granted, if your iCloud gets hacked, your account can also get hacked. But what's beautiful about Near is you can transfer your keys. So you can say, hey, I'm going to take that private key and I'm just going to move it to my ledger. And so what it does is it's kind of this idea of like progressive onboarding. For like grandma, she might just want to click sign in, scan face, not deal with the ledger. But if she has over a certain amount of money on that account, she'll be like prompted to say, hey, write down your 12 words. You should consider buying a ledger. So I'm optimistic. But yeah, that is technically all public information. You have to wait more for the other stuff.
Yeah, so you have to be at Near Day. And if you're not here in Denver, that's fine. There's probably going to be a recording right after that.
I think it's all live streamed.
Yeah, it's going to be live streamed, so check it out there. This was great. You literally dropped so many gems.
Working on it. And if anyone here is based in New York or San Francisco, we run almost weekly meetups, ideally bi-weekly, both in New York and SF. So we primarily teach. Alejandra is actually the person who coordinates a lot of the IRL events. A lot of JavaScript education, Rust education, Solidity education, because you could deploy your Solidity apps on Aurora. And then now we're diving more into how do you host front ends from Ethereum apps on Near and still transact on Ethereum. It's pretty neat because really cool. Right now I think there's a lot of uncertainty around regulation in the space. and the people who are probably most at risk are the ones managing DeFi apps. And if the U.S. government was ever like, "Hey, Uniswap Labs, like we need you to stop the money transmitter or whatever other reason that the United States government might want to throw at Uniswap Labs to get them to stop, operating," Uniswap will then be able to actually host their front end on Near, have no change to the experience for their users, and have their users transact on ETH-L1, but leverage the front end hosted on Near. And the reason why that's possible is because Near is WASM based, so everything compiles down to WebAssembly, and that includes the React code that you can put in the contract itself. And
that's really cool.
If we're talking about like building permissionless apps, like this is a prerequisite. And it's all happening on Near, so I'm stoked.
I'm excited. Yeah, come out to the Near events in SF and New York City, and soon other cities.
Yep.
Very, very soon. I guess the last question, and we always end that. In the last video we did, you share this whole story, which again, check it out, pretty crazy. Let's end it on like another story that could be inspirational or funny. Something that you'd like to share.
Inspirational. I mean, none of these, to be honest, the last year has been pretty tough. A lot of people have lost money in FTX and whatnot. And so last year's been pretty grim, unfortunately, but interesting story. To be honest, I don't have, a lot of it's like, I'm very deep into like the governance stuff these days, and it's pretty dry, to be honest.
You don't have juicy tea?
Not really. I mean, if so, it's all in the public forums, and it's pretty deep conversations around like why soulbound tokens are ridiculous or not ridiculous. To be honest, I don't really have juicy stories right now, unfortunately.
Next time you'll get a juicy story. All right. Thank you, Cameron.
Of course. Yep.